Welcome to the PressBox. Welcome to the PressBox. I am Keith Gibson, and joining me today is Newhoff Media Sports' Matthew Gokin once again. And Matthew, you're kind of becoming a mainstay right here with me on the PressBox.
I know, I like it, and thank you once again for having me.
Oh, anytime. You know, you're always welcome. It's my show. I can do what I want. You know, Matthew, we last week we debuted the fastest 6 minutes in sports. Guess what?
It's back.
It's back. We're going to start doing it every week because I liked it so much. So this week we're going to do it again, and we're going to talk a little bit of baseball. We're going to talk NFL, and then we'll end with college football. 2 topics from each one, fastest 6 minutes in sports. And Matthew, I know we've got a busy week ahead of us with high school football, and we're going to talk a little bit about that as well after we get down with the fastest 6 minutes in sports. And are you ready?
I am.
I said, are you ready?
I am ready.
Okay. And the first topic is MLB's final weekend. Who wins the NL Central?
Well, right now the Cardinals are in first place, so I like them to win the NL Central. But I go back, really the Brewers lost that division to the Cardinals. The Cardinals did get hot, yes, but the Brewers in first place had about 90% of a chance to win the NL Central, and now they're probably not even going to make the playoffs.
You know, I like if the Cardinals lose tonight, and we're talking this, we recorded this Wednesday night. They play the Cubs this evening, and if the Cardinals lose tonight and the Pirates win, and it ends up being a tie going in the final weekend, I like the Pirates coming out on top. Now let's talk a little bit about some other races going on. You got the Dodgers out west. You like the Dodgers as well?
I like the Dodgers. They can wrap it up Wednesday night. Clayton Kershaw is going for win number 21. I just think it's too much.
And what about in the AL Central, Detroit, Kansas City?
Way before this series even started or the season began, really, I like the Detroit Tigers by a lot. Now that it's a close race, I would really like to see the Royals win, but I think Detroit and their big three and the pitching staff gets the division for them.
I agree as well, and I think Kansas City and Oakland squeeze in. Seattle's fading fast with 4 games to go. Second topic is Derek Jeter. Will we ever see another player like Derek Jeter play the game with such class and professionalism?
I don't think you will, because now with social media, another guy's doing stupid things out there. I don't think you'll see such a class act, maybe not in baseball, but for sure not in any other sport. Derek Jeter, a Hall of Famer, first ballot, and just a classy guy all the way around. He's what I call a gamer.
I agree with you very much so. I love the guys like Cal Ripken Jr., like the late Tony Gwynn, and now Derek Jeter. Am I a Yankee fan? Hell no, I'm not a Yankee fan. I can't stand the Yankees. But I respect, with the utmost respect, Derek Jeter, how he plays the game, how he goes about the business, how he's a professional on and off the field, and what he's meant to that franchise. You know, he doesn't go out. You don't see him around a whole lot, and in the media and in the publicity and all that. But he just does things the right way. And if I have a son, I want to show him tapes of Derek Jeter and how he played the game.
Exactly. He's one of the guys that is first when he gets to the ballpark, and he's the last one to leave.
Third topic is the NFC Central. Will the Bears win the division?
You know, starting off, I like the Packers to win the division, but right now the Bears are playing really good, and the Packers, they are not playing well at all. Aaron Rodgers is kind of blaming the team. He doesn't have a lot of weapons on offense. He told the Packers fans and organization just to calm down, but the Packers need to worry because they don't have a lot of offensive weapons. The defense doesn't look very good at all, and the Bears are starting to pull away in that division. They beat the Jets on Monday night, so the Bears with Alshon Jeffrey and Brandon Marshall could really do some damage in the Central.
Well, and I think everybody's forgetting about the Detroit Lions too. I think the Bears do not win the division, but are a playoff team. I think the Packers are 1-2. It's still early. I think Aaron Rodgers rights the ship. He's got weapons. He's got Randall Cobb. He's got Jarrett Boykin. He's got Jordy Nelson. Lacey in the backfield. I think they've got weapons. It just can he get protection enough to do it? And you look at the Detroit Lions, Reggie Bush, Jackie Bell. You look at Calvin Johnson, Golden Tate. They've got weapons up in Detroit too. The only team that I don't think has an absolute shot is the Minnesota Vikings because they are absolutely awful. AP has just been a mess. You look at Matt Castle now on IR for the year. And that brings us to our fourth topic in Teddy Bridgewater of the Minnesota Vikings or Blake Bortles of the Jacksonville Jaguars, who will end up being the better pro?
I think Blake Bortles will be, just because in the NFL now you have to have a pocket passer along with a guy who, if they don't see anything downfield, they have to have the ability to go outside the pocket and make little scrambles, not a true running quarterback, but he's one of those guys. He's a big frame. He has a good arm. He makes a lot of good throws. Of course, his rookie debut against the Colts, he did throw 2 interceptions, but you're going to get that from your rookie. You're going to see him grow in Jacksonville. Now, can they put weapons around him? Who knows about that, but overall as a quarterback, I like Bortles, his arm, his mind, the way he goes about things, so I think he'll be a better quarterback than Teddy Bridgewater.
I couldn't agree with you more, Matthew, and the fact that I saw Bridgewater and Bortles both play last week, and I really had my eye on Bortles to see how he performed, and yeah, he did throw 2 picks. He tried to throw a couple and he shouldn't have, but I liked his agility in the pocket, getting outside, making some plays, and really doing things. And I saw a total different atmosphere around the Jacksonville Jaguars as a team with Bortles under center. So
exactly, they talked about him not playing for the whole first year. Forget about that.
Yeah, I think you're going to see him be starter completely, and Bridgewater will be the starter this week for the Vikings.
Well, that's because Matt Castle's on IR now. So.
Right, it's his team, win or lose. So, topic number 5 this week is the Illini football team, sitting at 3-1, Matthew. Wins over Youngstown State, Western Kentucky, and Texas State. None have been great wins. Their only loss coming to Washington on the road. They have Nebraska this week. They have Purdue next week. Do they get a win the next 2 weeks?
Well, Keith, going back to the Illini football team, we talked about it before the season even started. They had to go 3-1. That's what they do. Youngstown State, Western Kentucky, Texas State, supposed to be tune-up games for the Illini. They had to come back in about all 3 of those games, and then they were handled by Washington. So at Nebraska, I think it's going to be the same thing. You talked about it on Tuesday Sports. I think there's no way they beat Nebraska. And then, who knows? If that loss trickles down, Purdue could come in and beat them as well.
And if they lose to Nebraska and Purdue, then you sit at 3-3. Forget bowl, forget everything, because you're not you're not going to Wisconsin and winning. You're not going to Ohio State and winning. You won't beat Penn State. I mean, you're not gonna finish. And then you got Iowa, Northwestern, and Minnesota. I just don't see them being a bowl team if they lose the next 2.
Exactly. They have to beat at least Purdue. I talked about before the season started, they're a 4-8 team.
All right. Topic number 6, our final one of the day, is Jameis Winston. Will he ever grow up?
At first, when all these allegations and things started to come out, I said, he's a big-time football player. These are just, things that will come up, and he has to deal with them. Well, now that they keep going on and on and on, I probably don't think he will ever grow up. You talk about the guy who has won the national championship. He has won the Heisman, and then you go into your second year, and now you're yelling up on tables and doing stupid things like that. So I don't think he will.
Obscenities! Obscenities!
He will never grow up, and you talk about could be the potential number 1 pick against Marcus Mariota. Now it's not even close. Hands down, you take Marcus Mariota if you need a quarterback. Forget about Jameis Winston.
I agree with you totally. I think Winston's a bum. I think if he doesn't grow up soon, don't get me wrong, talent on the field, but as a number 1 team in the nation, you're a Heisman Trophy winner, you're a national champion, grow the F up.
Exactly.
I'm tired of seeing him do these stupid things. Now, granted, he's a sophomore, but at 19 years old, he should know better than to stay on the table and say what he said. And I am not even going to repeat it because I don't even want to say it. But Jameis Winston needs to grow up. And then to come out last week and be in full pads, warm up with a team, who does he think he is?
I don't know.
He's not a god. I mean, even I'm smarter than that. But he will never grow up. He will never be an NFL quarterback that matters anything. And if he does, it's because he's matured enough to do it. But someone needs to knock his butt in the dirt and realize that, hey, son, you need to have a talk with you because this is what you're doing.
I respect what Jimbo Fisher did, sending him to the locker room, making him take his pads off. But, Keith, my question real quick as we wrap this up, do you pass up a guy with that much talent?
I would with that much headache. I do with that much headache, but that's why I'm sitting here and I'm not working in the NFL. And frankly, I'm glad I'm not working for the NFL right now. That was the fastest 6 minutes in sports. I think we went a little long, Matthew, but we had fun today. So we're going to take a quick break, come back, and then we're going to have John Yates, professional sports memorabilia, and one of my close friends on with me here on the Press Box with Keith Gibson.
Oh! Oh, down beside that red firelight. Oh, you gonna let it all hang out. Fat bottom girls, you make the rockin' world go round.
Welcome back to the Press Box with Keith Gibson. It is our 6th episode of the podcast, and we just had our fastest 6 minutes in sports. And with me on the phone to talk a little bit about memorabilia, we kind of pre-gamed it during the beginning of the show, is John Yates. John is a professional sports memorabilia dealer. And John, thanks for joining us here on the podcast.
Thank you for having me, Keith.
And
nice
John,
to talk to you.
It is always great to have good friends and guys who can talk a lot about different things in the sports industry, because you have contracts and things like that, and you being a big sports fan you are, you kind of have gotten into the memorabilia side of it. And tell me how you kind of got into that.
Well, it started off in the beginning just collecting cards as a kid, and then it just grew from there through the years of just buying different things and different collections, and ended up in the end just starting to buy more and more autographs, and then it got to buying bigger pieces, and then of course with everything getting authentication, I always did my homework and knew what to find and what to buy and then how to get it authenticated, and that's where it really went to the next level.
So what's your kind of biggest first piece you bought as you kind of were growing up and realized this is something you enjoyed doing, and what's kind of the biggest thing you bought right off the bat?
Probably the first thing I bought was that I really remember liking was Upper Deck authenticated Larry Bird jersey.
Oh, Larry Bird jersey. So you were able to actually get your hands on that authenticated. Now, any baseball jerseys that you might have that were very, very dear and near and dear to your heart?
Yeah, I have a Felipe Lopez minor league jersey. That was what he wore and played with. His only one for his entire minor league season. That never quite panned out to the potential I thought. So not everything is a home run.
And you said that was a Felipe Lopez jersey?
Felipe Lopez jersey.
That's a thing that John and I have had for a while. I've known John's had that jersey for a while. That's why I had to throw that in there. But John, you've also have been able to go to some major shows as well, and you've kind of really been a little bit all around the country doing it, haven't you?
Yes, I do all the major shows. I was at the National this year in Cleveland the whole week. I always do the Chicago Sun-Times shows in March and November as well.
So,
and then, of course, I travel around and I do shows in St. Louis, Indianapolis, Louisville, Kentucky, and Nashville, Tennessee as well.
So
really hit the Midwest strong.
What's the biggest hotspot out of those that really memorabilia kind of flies? And because I know you do a lot of trading too as well, right? You just don't buy and sell it. You do a lot of trading. If you have a piece that a guy wants and he has a piece that you want, you kind of do work that out too as well, don't you?
Yes, I do a lot with the high-end sports cards and memorabilia with the autographs, correct.
Fantastic.
But Louisville is a great collector's market. It's very much collector-oriented. While St. Louis is the market where I seem to find a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff that's been there for years with all the years of professional teams.
Oh, okay. So sometimes you can find that gem. Is St. Louis kind of that place you can find that hidden gem?
It's been interesting. I actually, last year, I bought a huge group from Stan Musial's grandson.
Oh, really?
Yeah, his basement is unbelievable of all the stuff that he actually has. And he decided to sell a few pieces. I really wasn't even looking for it. And then when I talked to him, I'm like, man, you don't really want to sell this. He's like, yeah, I don't care. I've got 15 and 16 of some of these. I mean, it's just unreal the quantity he had.
So, and when saying that, you're able to buy that, and then you're able to go out and, now do you use, I know in the olden days you had to go to shows or you went to shops and things like that, but the new technological age, are you able to use eBay and Craigslist, and is there certain websites you use to kind of market what you have?
To be honest, I use those more as a guide anymore, especially eBay as a guide, and I buy a lot off eBay and Craigslist, but I just sell primarily to all my list of customers I have.
Oh, so you actually have a kind of a set number of customers that, do they follow you around or they get in contact with you and kind of see what you have?
Oh, I have a group of customers, and I email them every week after every show, stuff I pick up, and a lot of times I have lists of what they're looking for.
Oh, well, fantastic. John, now you've been doing this since what? We were and juniors in high school, sophomore in high school, kind of wheeling and dealing?
Yeah, I've actually been doing shows since I was about 16 years old, yeah.
Yeah, well, fantastic. John, we originally grew up together. I've dominated you in tennis a few times. I do that, get a giggle from you. But, we grew up together. Great guy. John has got a fantastic collection. So what's the next show coming up?
I'm going to Nashville, Tennessee this Saturday.
Oh, wow, that's a little bit of a drive from you. Now, you're in Evansville now, correct?
Yeah, so that's about 3 hours. Yeah,
Oh, that's not
take
too
all
bad.
the area from within 3 hours, and of course, then travel to Chicago as well.
Oh, great. Now, what's hot right now, John? I know with we kind of talked before we went on here is the fact that Jeter retiring is probably one of the hottest items you got out right now, right?
Oh, Jeter! All Jeter certified autographed memorabilia is on fire. The certified cards are really hot right now because he hadn't signed from any of the card companies since 2008 due to his exclusive deal with Steiner Sports.
Oh, well, fantastic. See, you always learn something new right here on the Press Box.
Yeah, so Derek Jeter merchandise is definitely very hot right now. But if it's like most things, it should tend to cool off shortly after he retires, like it did with Cal Ripken.
Now,
and then
what
as
about
it gets closer to the Hall of Fame, then it'll start to slowly go back up again.
right now? You look at now. LeBron also went from Miami to Cleveland, so is some of his Miami stuff kind of faded in the background, and some of his Cleveland stuff's kind of taken a nice shot up at stock wise.
That's very accurate because when I was actually at the National, was in Cleveland this year, and there was nothing hotter there than anything LeBron and the Cavs.
Well, I kind of figure that. Now, what about football? What's going on football-wise? Because it's kind of been quiet, and with the controversy, does it kind of hurt your stock as well as memorabilia?
Not really. I mean, of course, Adrian Peterson. Yeah, nobody's really wanting anything Adrian Peterson. Fortunately, I didn't have a lot of that. But Andrew Luck is definitely the guy everybody talks about. Even though they're only 1 and 2, everybody's still buying Andrew Luck stuff.
Now, do you still have your Ray Rice jersey hanging in your closet?
Never owned a Ray Rice jersey.
No,
luckily.
no. I wondered if you had one hanging in your closet still, but
But he is killing my fantasy team.
well,
that's
that
for
makes
sure.
2 of us, him and AP both. But so, John White, right now, what would you say is your prized possession that you would have that you really it's hard for you to let go of even at the right price?
Probably my PSA 9 Michael Jordan rookies. I've owned them for a long time and really have no desire to get rid of them. And that means they've been graded by PSA and then graded a Mint 9, which is the next to highest level you could get.
Well, that's pretty special right there. And those I don't think will lose. Have they lost much value over the years since he's retired?
No, they've really been. Actually, they lost a lot of value, and now they've got it back up to the point where they're the highest point they've been.
Well, that's good for you.
Oh, yeah, I'm not complaining, but, I mean, I'm not looking to move them.
No, well,
So,
that's all right. You know, I do have a wedding coming up in about a year. You know, that'd be a nice wedding present. But anyway, John, we appreciate you joining us here on the Press Box, and as always, as a longtime friend, and John listens to the Press Box with us all the time as well, and we appreciate that. And you know, he's taken some good beatings in tennis and Madden and in cards definitely. But John's always been. You even dressed up as me for Halloween one year, and that's right around the corner.
Yes, I did. I'd almost forgot about that right there.
Yep, and that was maybe one of the best costumes you ever had. You were a good-looking man that night.
Thank you very much, Keith.
But you know, we've been a little bit of everywhere. Now, you still watching wrestling, John?
Not as much as I used to. I mean, I DVR'd and I'll watch here and there, but once football season gets started, I don't watch near as much.
That's kind of how I am too. Now, what's your take on the baseball races? Are the Cardinals going to win the division?
I think they are going to pull it off.
Well, you're used to doing that, aren't you? So you think the Cardinals will pull it off? What about the Royals? They going to get in?
Yes, Royals are going to make it too. I think the Mariners are going to be on the outside.
I think so too. Especially after last night's start from Felix Hernandez. So, John, you're going to Nashville this weekend. What's your schedule looking like for the next few weeks after Nashville? Is there kind of a break for you?
After Nashville, October, I'll be doing St. Louis and then Indianapolis, and that's the only 2 I've got lined up.
Well, fantastic. Well, we hope to see you sometime soon. And, John, it's always great to talk to you. We'll keep in touch. You'll be in my wedding here in a year, too. That means we get a bachelor party, so that'll be fun as well.
That'll be great. Thank you for having me.
All right. Thanks, John. That's John Yates, professional sports memorabilia dealer, talking what's hot going on in sports right now as far as memorabilia-wise, and always nice to catch up with him.
Thank you.
This is the Press Box with Keith Gibson. We'll be back in just a moment. We'll talk Illini football. We'll talk a little college football, and we'll even talk a little bit Colts and Bears. You're listening to Press Box with Keith Gibson. Welcome back to the Press Box here with Keith Gibson, and we got the podcast going tonight. Matthew Gokin from Newhoff Media Sports joining me, and Matthew, we talked the 6 fastest minutes in sports, and it was so fast we went about 8, but it's okay. We had fun. We've had John Yates, professional sports memorabilia dealer, on with us, and one of my good friends, talking about what's hot in the memorabilia area right now. Apparently Derek Jeter is, but Felipe Lopez jerseys are not. But Matthew, we're going to finish up the show today and talk a little bit about high school football. We've got it coming up this weekend, and what to kind of expect coming around the corner. And big thing around this area, the biggest game I think, and maybe even in the state, is in Class 3A, and we will be there live. I'll be there broadcasting on 94.9 K-Rock and VermilionCountyFirst.com. That's a cheap plug. Also, you can go on VermilionCountyFirst.com and listen to my high school sports show, the PressBox with Keith Gibson. You can go there and listen to the podcast as well. But Class 3A, Matthew, Monticello, the Sages, taking on the Spartans of St. Joseph Ogden. Monticello released this week, Class 3A, Associated Press poll number 6. St. Joe, number 1. You know who's number 5?
Who?
Unity, Tolono Unity, who lost to Monticello last week, which I thought was very odd that Monticello would be below Unity, but Unity was number 2, dropped down to 5 this week. But, it's going to be a huge game in this, not just this area, but in the state.
Exactly, and first off, props to head coach Dick Duval. If you take a team to the state championship game and then you turn right around and you're number 1 in state again, and you lose all of those seniors, just the coaching on his behalf to get those guys ready to go for the next season, to be number 1 in the state. Congrats to Dick Duval once again. But right now, St. Joseph Ogden is playing really well, Keith. But it's one of those things you can't let it go to your head. You're the number 1 team in the nation. Everyone is trying to knock you off in Class 3A in Illinois, so you have to stay focused. You have to stay driven in order to get the victory on Friday night.
Well, and the Spartans for Coach Duval, and yes, what a great coach he has been through 27 years at St. Joe. But he is dealing with some injury issues as well. Orion Shody, he's going to be sitting out this week. I talked to Coach Duval earlier today. Out again this week with a bad right leg. Connor Jane's going to give it a go, their other tailback, but he's banged up. They've relied on Ryan Allen, who's now banged up, for some big yardage out of the backfield. And now Ty Brown, who a former tailback who got moved out to wide receiver because of such depth, now coming back to the backfield and had 154 yards last week against St. Thomas More. Monticello, though, put up over 400 yards of offense through the air last week, in a 58-55 win over Unity. And, Matthew, that's the St. Joe DBs are going to be tested.
Exactly. Not only that, the defensive line has to get some pressure on the quarterback. You can't rely on your DBs if you're letting the quarterback just sit back there and, start picking off wide receivers. So, for the defense of St. Joe, yes, the DBs have to step up, but I'm looking for the defensive line to make some big plays, force the quarterback into quick throws, knock him down, and allow your DBs to get in the face of the wide receivers. Don't make easy throws all day long, Keith.
Yeah, I'm anxious to see to make sure the defensive line. That's what Coach Duval talked about. They have to get defensive pressure on Williams for Monticello. So big game this week there. Let's talk a little bit about the VVC, Vermilion Valley Conference. Milford, Bismarck hitting huge wins last week again, Matt. You saw Georgetown Ridge Farm, though, with a big win over Oakwood, and those 3 teams right there are probably top of the class for the VVC.
Exactly. Now, I have not seen Milford play yet. I have seen Bismarck hitting. They looked good against Westville, but, of course, they shut them out. It was a running clock, but Westville has had some struggles. In the 11 lineup, on the field, 9 of them are sophomores, so Westville really struggling, and then Bismarck hitting a easy win over Salt Fork last week. But for Georgetown Ridge Farm, they have a lot of guys. They have a great backfield in Zachariah. For Georgetown Ridge Farm, they need to step it up in some other places. Their defense could improve a little bit. Their wide receivers and quarterbacks could do some more. So for Georgetown Ridge Farm, I think it's going to be tough to compete with Bismarck hitting and Milford. But I haven't seen Milford yet, only the scores. But Milford looks to be the early favorite in the Vermilion Valley Conference.
Yeah, October 17th, we thought that would be the biggest night of the year in high school football around this area because it's St. Joe at Unity and it's Bismarck hitting at Milford. Milford at Bismarck Henning. But it turns out that we're going to have a bigger game than that this week in Monticello and St. Joe. And so I believe you're right, though. Milford is a class of the VVC. But October 17th is still going to be a huge night because that Unity-St. Joe rivalry is unbelievable.
Exactly, and Milford takes on Georgetown Ridge Farm this week, so I think Georgetown gets their first loss in conference. And then once Milford and Bismarck play, I think they will both be undefeated and that will decide who wins the Vermilion Valley.
Yep. So, we've talked a little bit about today. We've had our fastest 6 minutes in sports. We've talked to John Yates, professional sports memorabilia dealer and one of my best friends, and I appreciate John for joining us today. Unlike most shows, guests usually get a gift or some sort. I give them a thank you, you're in my wedding. We'll go to a bachelor party type of deal. And then Matthew and I talked high school sports, football, and Matthew, anything you want to throw in for the end of the week? Is there anything major you're looking forward to? NASCAR this weekend. We've got college football. You've got NFL, high school football. It's a busy weekend.
Yeah, it's a very busy weekend, and I always go back. If you like football, this is a perfect time because Friday you got high school football, Saturday you have college football, Sunday's NFL, then you have Monday Night Football. You get Tuesday and Wednesday off, and then Thursday picks right back up with NFL and college football. And Friday, once again, it's high school football. So football all the way around from here on out for a while.
Well, I look forward, Matthew, to talking next week. We'll be a couple games into the MLB postseason as well. We'll kind of see where we're at there. We'll talk some more high school football. We'll do some more fastest 6 minutes in sports. And just in case you're wondering, we stayed off the Ray Rice and Adrian Peterson topics because I'm really sick of hearing about it and really don't give a care if we talk about it anymore. They're both idiots. So that's my take on that. I want everybody to thank you very much for listening to the podcast. Please share with absolutely everybody you know as far as I want to build this up. Make sure they go to Facebook, like my page, share it with everybody. Follow me on Twitter. The handle is @Keith_Gibson13. And let everybody know that I'm your man for sports, whether it's local, national, international, badminton, cricket, it don't matter. We'll talk about it. We like to have fun. So you've been listening to Press Box with Keith Gibson. Thank you for listening. Ladies and gentlemen, have a great weekend. Once again, thank you to John Yates. Thank you to Matthew Goker from Newhoff Media Sports for joining me. This is a Press Box with Keith Gibson.